I don't think too many of you people have heard of him. He's very low-key. He's a very low-key person, but he's highly respected. He is a great person. I've known him for so long. For the past 16 months, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
We are witnessing, without question, one of the most historic moments in our nation's history. A political realignment is happening like never before, and the deep state is in a full-blown panic. We're going to see exactly what's happening with the RFK-Trump alliance and why it really does represent one of the most epic moments in modern political history. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you stay sane in these insane times, but incredibly exciting times. So make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Also, before we get into this absolutely epic moment we're all living through, I want you all to click on that link below and begin taking care of your own health. Many of you know I'm very passionate about the fact that we can't rescue our nation if we don't first take care of ourselves. And health actually starts with our livers. I mean, if you think about it, we throw everything at our livers. I mean, alcohol, toxins, Tylenol, statins, cigarettes, you name it. That's why so many of us have a sluggish, fatty liver. It makes us gain weight, lose energy. But gang, thanks to today's sponsor, there really is a very real solution. Liver Health Formula is an all-natural supplement. It contains 12 clinically proven botanicals that helps recharge and protect your liver. It's manufactured right here in the USA. It's approved by independent American doctors. And the best part, gang, if you click on that link below right now, you can actually try Liver Health Formula and receive a free bottle of blood sugar formula when you order right now. So don't let a fatty liver keep you sluggish and inactive. You all know this is a bit personal for me. I myself recently lost over 60 pounds, and I could say it was one of the best decisions I ever made. And now it's your turn. Click on that link below or go to getliverhelp.com/Turley and claim your free bonus gift. That's getliverhelp.com/Turley.
And I don't think I've ever introduced anyone that got applause like he just got. I must tell you, I don't think it's true. I don't think I've ever introduced anybody that got applause like that.
I'm sure many of you saw that astonishing moment last Friday when Robert Kennedy Jr. took the stage at the Trump rally in Arizona and solidified a new political alliance that promises to be a major game changer in American politics moving forward. It wasn't a word epic. It really was an absolutely epic moment in our nation's history. So much so we're going to need 2 videos to cover it today. So this video is going to be on the significance of the political realignment that's happening for American politics as a whole. And then our second video is going to be on how President Trump is playing 4D chess to guarantee an absolute landslide in November. So make sure to check out both videos. Now, first, just practically speaking, this endorsement completely deflated whatever momentum the Democrats thought they could have gotten coming out of their ridiculous circus convention. That's what country music star John Rich pointed out. He said RFK just erased the entire Democrat National Convention with one press conference, referencing his amazing 40-minute press conference that he had before taking the stage with President Trump. Caroline Leavitt, press secretary for President Trump, I think put it best. President Trump's acceptance of this endorsement literally blew up the Democrats' $100 million convention week in a single day. Now, just from the vantage point of its timing, this endorsement could not possibly have been better. Remember, we were reporting all last week. Kamala's polling was already imploding throughout the week. We're going to talk more about that in our next video on the amazing 4D chess that Trump is playing right now with this endorsement. And I was totally exploiting Kamala's political missteps here. But the week did not go well for Kamala last week. Take a look at these polymarket swings. These are the betting markets, gang. At the end of last week, the very week Kamala is supposed to get a double-digit bump. Look at this. The market swung in every single swing state over to Trump. The Democrat convention was an obvious flop as far as the markets were concerned. It was a disaster. It was frankly a rather bizarre and strange convention that not even Oprah could rescue. In fact, they were so desperate for viewers the night that Kamala spoke that they faked viewers into thinking there was going to be some big appearance by some pop star like Beyonce, because nobody would come to see just Kamala. You would come to see the pop star, and then you get Kamala to bore everyone in the process. But Kamala was already having a bad week, and the Friday endorsement, the timing of it it was like the last nail in that convention coffin, as it were. But what should we really make of this endorsement? What does this mean, big picture? Again, we're going to be talking about the 40 chess for November in our next video. Big picture, what does this endorsement mean for American politics? Stephen Miller, senior advisor to President Trump, said it very well. What we saw on Friday is the culmination point of the largest realignment in American politics since the Reconstruction era. I want to say that again because I think it's very, very important. What we saw on Friday is the culmination point of the largest realignment in American politics since the Reconstruction era. That's huge. Now, just to kind of echo that, here's Jimmy Dore. Now, Jimmy Dore is on the populist left. I know a lot of you know him, love him. I do. He's amazing. He's on the populist left. Check out what he has to say when he contrasts the DNC with the Trump-Kennedy rally.
So it's nothing to fall for. And the Democratic Party is unbelievably undemocratic. That's why they have super donors, super delegates. Republicans don't have that. That's why they use lawfare against their political opponents. The Republicans aren't doing that. Donald Trump didn't go after Hillary Clinton. He didn't lock her up. He didn't do any of that shit. Guess who's doing that? Joe Biden and the Democrats. So there's nothing to fall for. I'm sticking my head down the street and I'm reporting back what I see. That's what's happening. I'm not falling for anything. I'm telling you what's happening. There's a stadium full of people cheering. I just came from a stadium full of people cheering for hatred, division, and for war. They're cheering for war. They're cheering the other way. Those people were cheering for mandates, and they're cheering for censorship, and they're cheering for war and division and hating your neighbor. I just came from a stadium full of people that did that all week. And now here's a stadium full of people doing the exact opposite. So there's nothing to fall for. These are just facts.
Now, what's so key there, what Jimmy Dore did so well there, is he's reimagining the political divide in far more populist terms than partisan terms. That's absolutely key if you want to understand what's really happening in our politics today. He's reimagining the political divide in far more populist terms rather than partisan terms. In other words, he's reimagining the political divide away from a horizontal divide, a divide between left versus right, Democrats versus Republicans, conservative versus liberals. The Trump RFK alignment is moving away from that horizontal divide, and it's reconfiguring our politics into a more vertical divide, the people versus the permanent political class, right? The oligarchs versus the ordinary American, the elite versus the people, an aloof aristocracy who govern for their own power and affluence at the expense of the values, interests, and concerns of the people. Dick Morris, the keen political strategist, he had a very good article over the weekend on the significance of the Bobby Kennedy endorsement, and he's liking it to something like nuclear fusion between the traditional political left and right. So if the partisan divide was nuclear fission, if that separated the people from each other, which of course the permanent political class loves to do. They love to sow divisions, right? Use issues as wedge issues to divide us. If that nuclear fission represents the partisan divide, nuclear fusion represents more the populist divide, where the people come together to oppose a single bureaucratic permanent elite. So what both Trump and RFK are showing is that if you look at the political divide, not horizontally between left versus right, but rather vertically, the people versus the political class, all of a sudden, according to Dick Morris, a number of issues that the supermajority of voters support now come to the fore. Now we can all agree on common sense border security. Now we can all agree on common sense tax reform. Now we can all agree on common sense health initiatives, right? Make America healthy again. Now we can all agree on abortion, believe it or not. We can actually agree on abortion by bringing it back to the states and stop using it as a wedge issue to divide us. Now we can all come together on common sense reforms that end violent crime. We can all come together on common sense education reforms and school choice, which is a supermajority enjoys supermajority support. We can get common sense reforms that roll back intrusive and obtrusive government. And we can finally embrace the fact that racism and racist attitudes have been falling significantly over the last several decades, such that all studies show now that racism is at an all-time low in our nation. In other words, we can finally end the ability of these elites from using all of these wedge issues to deliberately divide us. And instead, we can now be united against them. And here's the key. The more our political elites are seen as deliberately trying to divide us, the greater the divide, the more the divide grows between the unified people and the political class. It's a process known as de-alignment, a breakdown of the bonds that used to exist between traditional political parties and their constituents. And the key here is that this breakdown in the bonds that voters used to have with the traditional parties is making it easier for new political challengers like Trump and RFK to rise up and take the nation in a new direction. So, for example, in Britain, back in the 1960s, about 50% of the British population felt strongly aligned to one of the two traditional parties, the Tories and Labour. So half the population was loyal to one of the two major traditional parties. By 2015, that loyalty collapsed to just 10%. And we saw that with Brexit, a new issue, right? This de-alignment made a new politics possible. We saw it with Brexit. For the Brexit vote in 2016, it cut directly across the traditional party electorates. And it was exactly the same with Trump in 2016. Nearly 200 counties in Ohio, Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan, Pennsylvania that had all voted Democrat in every single presidential election since the 1980s, including counties that had voted for Barack Obama twice, suddenly turned around and voted for Trump, some by as much as a 15% margin. In comparison to the previous presidential election, 2012, Trump got 180,000 more votes in Ohio than Romney did. He got 165,000 more votes in Michigan, and an astounding nearly 300,000 more votes in Pennsylvania. That's political de-alignment and then realignment. So the big takeaway for us here, big picture, is that Stephen Miller is right. What happened Friday is the culmination of a mass political realignment that's been in the making for the last several years and represents perhaps the single most significant political realignment we've seen in the last century. We really are in historical times, and it looks like we ain't seen nothing yet. Now, it gets even better. President Trump isn't just realigning the American political scene. He's also playing 4D chess to win an epic landslide in November, and that is what we're going to see in our next video, so make sure to check it out.